In this video, let's look at one of the hottest topics today, ChatGPT. What is it, and how do we use it? Let's jump right in. First, we need to go to openai.com. OpenAI is an American artificial intelligence or AI research laboratory. The intro page may change from time to time, but we're looking for the words try ChatGPT. So let's scroll down to where it says try ChatGPT and click on that. Once you've done that, you either need to log in if you already have an account, and if you don't have an account, you'll need to click on sign up. This is free. If you haven't signed up yet, create an account with your preferred email address or sign in with a Google or a Microsoft account. Check your email inbox to verify your email address. Before you get started, you'll need to click through several screens. The first screen tells you that ChatGPT is free, and as a caveat, sometimes the information might be inaccurate. The second screen says that OpenAI researchers will use your interactions with the software to improve ChatGPT. The third screen tells you that data is being collected to improve the system, and developers hope you share your feedback. Now, we've made it to the search page. There are examples of questions or prompts you could type into the search window at the bottom. There's a brief description of ChatGPT's capabilities, and there are a few statements about ChatGPT's limitations. Just as a caveat, there are so many people that are using ChatGPT right now that the system does get overloaded with users, so be patient and try back later. When you type in a question or a statement into the dialog window at the bottom, the cursor will blink for a few seconds while it generates a response. And then ChatGPT will do its thing. I asked, "What is ChatGPT?" And now it's generating a response. It's that quick. Here is ChatGPT defining itself. The great thing about ChatGPT is that you could input a variety of prompts or questions like how to boil an egg, and it will spit out an answer. As you can see, it's giving me directions on how to boil an egg. How extraordinary. If I don't want to wait for the response, at the bottom of the page, above the dialog window, there's an option to stop generating. So I could do that and move on, but while I'm being told how to boil an egg, let's just take a second to talk about the topic of ChatGPT has come to a boil. One of many reasons why AI-generated responses is the big buzz right now is because teachers, like me, are afraid that students will use it to cheat on assignments, especially having ChatGPT write papers for them. Here's an example of that. I asked ChatGPT to write a 500-word essay that cites 3 sources on sustainable development using photovoltaic or solar systems. Within less than a minute, ChatGPT generated a 500-word essay on using photovoltaic systems to achieve goals in sustainability. It contains a thesis as the last sentence in the first or introductory paragraph. The second paragraph contains the first supporting detail and cites a source or a reference. The third or fourth paragraphs contain topic sentences and supporting details. The essay also contains the sources that I requested that it cite. The in-text citations don't contain years or dates because I did not specify that I wanted them cited in a specific style like APA or MLA. If that's what you want, you need to be explicit or detailed in your requests. The essay also contains a conclusion which summarizes the essay, which it just wrote in less than a minute. Lastly, ChatGPT cited its sources that it used. So as teachers, this brings up one initial question, which is, how do I detect that a student used ChatGPT or some other artificial intelligence software to write a paper? Well, you could use any number of online resources to detect whether content has been written by an AI or an artificial intelligence resource. Here, I've copied and pasted the essay that ChatGPT wrote for me into an artificial intelligence detector called Crossplage. On the right side of the screen, it is showing me that 100% of the text was written by AI or artificial intelligence. Crossplage's address is at the top of the screen. Here's another artificial intelligence detector called GPT-0. I pasted the same essay that ChatGPT wrote for me on sustainability, and it says that the text is likely to be written entirely by artificial intelligence. GPT-0's address is at the top of the screen. And then here's a third artificial intelligence detector called Rightful that you could use. I pasted the same essay on sustainability, and Rightful says that it is likely that 99% of the essay was written by artificial intelligence. Rightful's address is at the top of the screen. At the time of the publication of this video, all of the 3 AI detector websites were free with limited usage. These artificial intelligence or AI detectors are not 100% accurate. For instance, I copied and pasted an invitation to a workshop that I asked GPT to write for me, and 2 of these websites identified that around 80% of the text was written by AI instead of 100% of it written by AI. I also copied and pasted excerpts of my dissertation that I wrote back in 2011, long before AI became accessible to the general public, and some excerpts came back as having been written as much as 50% by artificial intelligence. So I believe the detectors were evaluating my borrowed text or text which included in-text citations as having been written by artificial intelligence. So before we look at how we can actually use ChatGPT to improve our teaching and help our students, let's look at some things we could do in our classes and with our curriculum to minimize or eliminate students, quote-unquote, cheating with ChatGPT. If you are teaching a live in-person class, have students do their writing in class instead of assigning them essays to do as homework. Ask them to write about a lecture you just read to them, or ask them to write about experiences that they have had, or write the vocabulary words for your current unit on the board and ask students to write a story incorporating some or all of the vocabulary words. If you are teaching an online class or a class where students are using their computers to type responses, first of all, warn students that you use artificial intelligence detectors and tell them that an assignment submission red flagged as using AI will result in an assignment failure. Show them an example of how an essay or an answer written by ChatGPT can be detected. Also, show them how creating your own response will likely not be identified as being written by AI. Second, have your written assignments only available on your learning management system if students have downloaded a software that prevents them from accessing an internet browser while the assignment is open. For instance, you could use Respondus Lockdown Browser. After you've created your assignment in your learning management system, you could add the Lockdown Browser to the assignment. You will need to walk students through how to download Lockdown Browser onto their computers and or phones so that they are able to open the protected assignments. When students take a test or a writing assignment, Lockdown Browser prevents them from exploring answers on the internet as they are locked into the test or the assignment. In your online class, instead of placing students into individual breakout rooms to take their test and write their essays, keep them in the main Zoom or conference room so that you can keep an eye on all of them. And while students are using their computers to take a test or do a writing assignment with Lockdown Browser, to ensure that students don't use their phones to access the internet to find test answers or to use ChatGPT to help them develop their essays, before the test opens up, you can ask that students show you their phones and have them put their phones behind them on a shelf or somewhere where you, the teacher, can see it in the student's background. To verify test and writing assignment integrity, record your online Zoom or conference meeting so you could review test activity later. To reiterate, if you can, base your writing assignments on making and asking students to communicate their own opinions on a topic. Ask that they make a connection with a topic to their own life experiences, and you don't have to get rid of the 5-paragraph essay, just make it on different topics. If you do have a project which requires research, instead of having the bulk of the assignment's points based on an essay or a paper, make students give a presentation on the research topic. This will tell you whether students were able to really know the material or at least be able to memorize its content and give you their own opinions and impressions of the topic. Now that we've looked at how to detect ChatGPT and ways to modify our assignments, let's look at the bright side of ChatGPT. For students and for teachers, ChatGPT is great for developing outlines. Sometimes students have trouble with outlining a paper or a speech, and ChatGPT will generate a really thorough and well-rounded outline. For instance, here, I ask ChatGPT to write me an outline on sustainable development and look at how quickly it produces the request. So one thing to note is that the more detail you could give ChatGPT and the more specific you could be in your request, the more likely it is that ChatGPT will produce what you want it to. For instance, now I'm going to be more specific and request that ChatGPT write me another outline, but this time for a speech. Because I'm more detailed in my request for an outline for a speech, ChatGPT includes an intention-getting statement in the introduction, which is an element found more explicitly within the introduction of a speech. As a teacher, you could use ChatGPT to show students a variety of outlines. Usually, in a textbook, there might be one or two examples of an outline, but with ChatGPT, you could reinforce the structure of an outline with handfuls of examples. Now, I'm going to ask ChatGPT to do some research for me. I'm asking it to give me 5 interesting statistics on gender equality in the workplace around the world. After asking ChatGPT to do some research for me like this, I will go to the internet and verify or triangulate the information it gives me. But this is a great starting point. I could be more explicit and ask ChatGPT to cite its sources, but here I'm just using it to do some statistical brainstorming for me. I'm just going to give you a couple more examples of ChatGPT's brainstorming capabilities. Here, I'm asking it to give me a statistic on the percentage of the world that has clean water accessible to it. I didn't ask it to cite a source, but it cites the World Health Organization and the UNICEF Joint Monitoring Program anyway. What I would do next would be to go to these organizations' websites and do some further digging. Here's another question related to the topic of world or global health, and more specifically related to the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. I ask what percentage of the world goes hungry on a daily basis. Perhaps now you understand ChatGPT provides text much like a conversation, as opposed to inputting this question into the internet search window and getting links to websites whose text matches words with my request. Let's take a break from some of these serious topics, and I'm going to ask ChatGPT to give me some puns about sustainable development. I might want to use one or more of these as an icebreaker in a speech, or just look at them for entertainment purposes. As you can see, ChatGPT can be very enlightening. Like a forest ranger in a national park, its possibilities are tremendous. Like a wind turbine engineer, its capabilities will blow you away. Let's switch gears again, like the transmission in an electric vehicle, and look at how ChatGPT can help you, a teacher, generate feedback in responding to students' answers on an assignment or even a test. Here, I have an example of a completed worksheet with the student's answers below each question. What I will do is to copy the student's answer, then go back to ChatGPT and type in a request. And that request is write a response to this answer, and then put the student's answer within quotation marks. It's recommended that as a teacher, you use ChatGPT's responses as a starting point and tailor and edit the responses to include your voice and input as a teacher. So this example of a response was for a correct or right answer. But what happens when the answer that a student gives you is not correct or is not accurate? In response to the question, what industries are the biggest polluters of the environment? The student states that city parks and schools are huge polluters of the environment, which isn't correct. So I asked ChatGPT to write a response to the answer. My request is a little vague and not very detailed. Although it's a decent response from ChatGPT and it softly corrects the student, it doesn't really reveal the correct answer, which would be identifying industries that are the biggest polluters of the environment. As you could see, it's a lengthy response. If I want a shorter response, I need to explicitly ask for, let's say, a 50-word response or a 100-word response. Because ChatGPT wrote me a response that I wasn't completely satisfied with, because the response didn't mention any of the actual industries known to pollute the environment, I repeat the request to write me a response to the student's answer as I am typing here. But this time, I request specifically that it generate a response to the specific question that I asked on the worksheet, which was, what industries are the biggest polluters of the environment? So the first request for a response, I just simply typed in, write a response to this answer without telling ChatGPT what the question was. But this time, I actually type in the question as well to help ChatGPT to generate a response to the student's answer. This time, ChatGPT generates another response. It not only gives me the correct answer by listing actual industries that are the biggest polluters of the environment, it cites the Environmental Protection Agency as a source. This is just modeling how you might need to go through a trial and error process with ChatGPT in order to refine the answers or responses that it generates for you. So now let's look at another ChatGPT capability that will likely elicit the wow factor. Here, I am typing a request to write me a 10-question multiple choice quiz with only one correct answer, which it just did in less than 30 seconds. In fact, I think it took me longer to actually type the quiz request than it did for ChatGPT to actually generate the quiz. As a teacher, I've spent hours developing quizzes before, and this helps. This will make teaching more efficient and allow us to focus our attention on other professional or personal endeavors. So in our final minutes of the video, let's look at some of ChatGPT's limitations and maybe have some fun with it. Although this type of artificial intelligence software is going to revolutionize many industries and the use of artificial intelligence seems very futuristic, one thing that ChatGPT cannot do is it can't see into the future. Here, like I'm asking a genie in a bottle a question, it's unable to predict future lottery numbers for me. Darn. It will also not be able to recommend stocks that I should buy when the market opens the next day. Too bad. Because I'm already tired of being rejected by ChatGPT, I'm going to lob an easy question at it and ask it a question coming from my stomach, which is, what should I order on my pizza tonight? And it gives me some suggestions. If I ask it for recommendations for a pizza restaurant around in my area, it will state that it doesn't know my location. So I have to be more explicit. So now I'm just asking some random final questions like, what is the meaning of life? And it will generate an answer, but not the answer, because the answer to this question is very subjective. As I continue to have fun with this as a model for you trying out ChatGPT, I ask it some silly questions like, if I stand on my head and hold my breath, will my hiccups go away? And then I ask it if the moon is really made of cheese. As a couple of semi-serious questions, I ask whether combustible engines will be replaced by electric vehicles, and it provides me a pretty solid hypothesis. Here's another question about whether humans will ever inhabit Mars, and again, it's a fairly logical response. One major limitation of ChatGPT is that it is unable to give you recent news. Here, I ask why the price of eggs has increased, or at least it did in late January or early February of 2023. ChatGPT states that it has a cutoff date of September of 2021. Lastly, among other capabilities of ChatGPT, it will translate text for you. I'm taking the lyrics from one of my favorite songs called Candela from one of my favorite all-time groups, the Buena Vista Social Club, and I'm asking ChatGPT to translate it for me. As a Spanish speaker, I've listened to this song for 20 years and I've never seen an official translation. So having it translated confirmed what I thought was going on in the story that the song was telling. With this, I'll warn you not to let ChatGPT do your thinking for you, that it's important to continue developing those neural pathways in your brain. With some final tips, I'm going to show you how to edit or delete conversations that you've had with ChatGPT. On the left side of the screen, there are all of the conversations that I've initiated with the software. I could just click Clear Conversations at the bottom, or I can go to each conversation, and when I click on one, you see the trash can icon and a check mark. If I click on the trash can because I want to delete the conversation, I will also need to click on the check mark to verify that I wanted to delete the conversation. So I'm just going to delete another conversation by clicking on the trash can icon and then clicking the check mark next to it. If I just want to edit the title of the conversation, I will just click on the check mark and then type what I want the conversation to be entitled. So here, I'm just going to do that. I'll click on the check mark next to the conversation title that I want to edit and then type in the new title. With that, I hope you enjoyed the video and I hope you use ChatGPT or another form of artificial intelligence to improve your life. Please click the subscribe button below the video. Thank you and have a great day.